Prague, May 27, 1942. A black Mercedes-Benz convertible rounds the corner. Inside sits one of the most powerful men in Nazi Germany, the Butcher of Prague, Hitler's favorite, the architect of the final solution. Reinhard Heydrich. Two men step into the street. One raises a Sten gun, pulls the trigger. Click, the gun jams. For a split second, time freezes. The most important assassination attempt of World War II is about to fail. And then, the second man throws a modified anti-tank grenade. The blast rips through the Mercedes. Shrapnel tears into Heydrich's body. The man who seemed untouchable is dying on a Prague street. What happens next will shake the Nazi Empire to its core. It will trigger the largest manhunt in Czech history. It will lead to unspeakable reprisals. Entire villages will be erased from the map. And 7 men will make their final stand in a church crypt, fighting 800 SS soldiers with nothing but pistols and their last breaths. This is the story of the only successful assassination of a top-ranking Nazi during World War II. The operation that killed the blonde beast. The mission that sparked Hitler's rage. This is Operation Anthropoid. December 28, 1941. A British Halifax bomber cuts through the darkness over Czechoslovakia. Inside, 7 Czech and Slovak soldiers prepare to jump. They're parachutists, commandos, trained by British Special Operations Executives, OE. Their mission, return to their occupied homeland and strike back at the Nazis. Among them are 2 men who will change history. Joseph Gabzicht, 27 years old, Slovak. Expert marksman, quiet, intense, a soldier's soldier. Jan Kubist, 28 years old, Czech, explosives, expert, more outgoing, loyal to the core. Jan Kubist, 28 years old, Czech, explosives, expert, more outgoing, loyal to the core. They don't know it yet, but these 2 men are about to attempt the impossible. One by one, they jump into the freezing Czech night. Parachutes deploy. The plane disappears. They land in snow-covered fields, scattered miles apart. Welcome to occupied Czechoslovakia. Let's back up. Who are these men? And what brought them here? 1938. Hitler demands Czechoslovakia's Sudetenland. Britain and France, desperate to avoid war, give it to him. The Munich Agreement. Peace for our time. It's a betrayal. Czechoslovakia is carved up without anyone asking the Czechs. Within months, Germany occupies the rest of the country. Czechoslovakia ceases to exist. Many Czech and Slovak soldiers refuse to surrender. They escape, make their way to Poland, then France, then finally Britain after France falls. They join the Czechoslovak government in exile. They train with British Special Forces. They wait for their chance to fight back. Joseph, Gab, K, and Jan Kubis are among them. In London, the Czech government in exile is desperate. Their country is occupied. Their people are suffering. They need to prove they're still fighting. Need to show the world Czechoslovakia hasn't given up. They need a mission, a symbolic strike, something that will shake the Nazi regime. They need a target. Reinhard Heydrich. If you're looking for a real villain Heydrich, is it SS Saarburg, Berggruppenführer, Chief of the Reich Security Main Office, Deputy Reichsprotektor of Bohemia and Moravia, the Nazi name for occupied Czechoslovakia. But those titles don't capture who he really is. Reinhard Heydrich is the architect of the Holocaust. In January 1942, Heydrich chairs the Wannsee Conference. 15 Nazi officials sit around a table in a villa outside Berlin. They're planning genocide. The final solution to the Jewish question. Heydrich runs the meeting. Efficient, bureaucratic. He's organizing the murder of 11 million people, like he's planning a factory production line. He's also the man who created the Einsatzgruppen mobile killing squads that follow the German army into Eastern Europe. Murdering Jews, Roma, political prisoners, thousands, then tens of thousands. Hitler calls him the man with the iron heart. Himmler calls him the perfect Nazi. Everyone else calls him the Butcher of Prague or the Blonde Beast. He's 37 years old, tall, blonde, athletic, an accomplished violinist, A champion, fencer, brilliant, ambitious, absolutely ruthless. And he's transforming occupied Czechoslovakia through a strategy of carrot and stick. When Heydrich arrives in Prague in September 1941, he unleashes terror. Mass arrests, public executions, martial law. The Czech resistance is crushed brutally. Hundreds executed in the first weeks. But then surprisingly conditions improve. For some, Heydrich increases food rations for workers, improves social services, makes deals with Czech industry, all while deporting Jews and murdering dissidents. It's psychological warfare. Break the resistance. Reward compliance. Turn the Czech people into willing cogs in the German war machine, and it's working. Czech weapons production increases. Strikes decrease. Resistance activity drops. Heydrich is succeeding where other Nazi administrators failed. He's making occupation comfortable, making collaboration seem reasonable. The Czech government in exile in London is watching this happen. They're horrified. If Heydrich succeeds, if Czechoslovakia becomes a model of successful occupation, what does that mean for Czech honor? For their claim to independence after the war? Edvard Beneš, the exiled Czech president, makes a decision. Heydrich must die. Not just as revenge, as strategy. To prove the Czech people are still fighting. To provoke a Nazi response that will destroy the illusion of willing cooperation. To make the world remember Czechoslovakia. The British Special Operations Executive agrees to help. They'll train the assassins, provide equipment, fly them into Czechoslovakia. The mission gets a codename, Operation Anthropoid. The target, Reinhard Heydrich. The assassins, Joseph Gab K. and Jan Kubis. The problem, Heydrich is one of the most protected men in Nazi Germany. He travels with armed guards. His schedule is secret. He's paranoid about assassination. This mission is almost certainly a suicide run. Gab, K and Kubis know this. They volunteer anyway. December 28, 1941. The parachute drop. Gab, K and Kubis land in the snow, miles from Prague. They're part of a larger group's 7 agents total, 3 separate operations. They bury their parachutes, gather their equipment, start moving, their gear. Stengun's British submachine guns, when they work. Pistols. Modified anti-tank grenades. Cyanide capsules in case of capture. Forged papers. Money. A radio transmitter. And they have one other asset. The Czech resistance. Despite Heydrich's crackdown, the resistance still exists. Underground, fragmented, scared, but still there. Gab, K and Kubis make contact. Safe houses are arranged. Hiding places. False identities. For weeks, they hide in Prague, moving between apartments, trying to blend in, planning, but there's a problem. Their original target, the one they trained for in Britain, isn't Heydrich. London hasn't finalized the assassination plan yet. The agents wait. Frustrated, time is passing. Every day in occupied Prague is dangerous. Finally, in March 1942, the order comes through radio. Target, Reinhard Heydrich. Method, assassination. Timeline, as soon as possible. Now the real work begins. To kill Heydrich, they need to know his routine, his movements, his vulnerabilities. The resistance helps. Watchers are positioned. Heydrich's schedule is tracked. And they discover something remarkable. Heydrich is arrogant. Despite being one of the most hunted men in occupied Europe, despite running the Nazi terror apparatus, despite knowing assassins might target him, Heydrich rides in an open-topped car. No armored vehicle, minimal security. Sometimes just a driver and one bodyguard. Why? Because he wants to project strength, fearlessness. He wants Czechs to see him driving through Prague, untouchable. It's the perfect opening. The assassins identify a location, a sharp hairpin turn in the Prague suburb of Libeck. Heydrich's car has to slow down there. The plan. Gab K will use the Sten gun to shoot Heydrich as the car slows. If that fails, Kubas will throw a grenade. They'll escape on bicycles hidden nearby. The resistance will provide safe houses. It's simple, direct, dangerous. They rehearse, pick positions, time, the approach, study, escape routes. They wait for the right moment. Days pass, weeks. May 27th, 1942. Word comes through. Heydrich is travelling from his country estate to Prague Castle today. He'll pass through Libeck. This is it. May 27th, 1942. 10 a.m. Prague. Joseph, Gab K, and Jan Kubis arrive at the assassination site. The hairpin turn-on V, Hol Ov, KCH Street. They're not alone. Joseph, Val K, another Czech agent, positions himself up the street as lookout. He'll signal when Heydrich's car approaches. The assassins carry their weapons concealed. Gab K has the Sten gun hidden under his coat. Kubis has the modified anti-tank grenade in his briefcase. They wait. 10:15 a.m. 10:20 a.m. Trams pass. Civilians walk by. A normal Prague morning. Shomwu Shiden Senchafin. Val K sees the car approaching. He takes off his hat to the signal. Gab K and Kubis see it. The black Mercedes-Benz 320 convertible B, open-topped. In the back seat, Reinhard Heydrich, SS uniform. Unprotected driver, SS Oberscharfer Klein. The car slows for the hairpin turn. Gab K steps into the street, raises the Sten gun, aims at Heydrich, pulls the trigger. The gun jams. For a frozen moment, everyone processes what just happened. Heydrich sees a man pointing a weapon at him. The weapon doesn't fire. Klein, the driver, reaches for his pistol. Gab K is pulling the Sten's bolt, trying to clear the jam. It won't work. Heydrich stands up in the car, draws his own pistol. He's going to shoot Gab K himself. Klein slams on the brakes. The car stops. Jan Kubis sees it all falling apart. The gun failed. Heydrich is armed. Klein is armed. There's only one option left. Kubis grabs the anti-tank grenade from his briefcase, pulls the fuse, runs toward the car, throws the blast, is enormous. The grenade hits the right rear wheel of the Mercedes, explodes. Shrapnel tears through the car. The door is blown off. Windows shatter. Metal fragments spray in all directions. Smoke, debris. Screaming, Kubis is thrown backward by his own grenade. Shrapnel wounds his face and leg. He staggers, bleeding, but alive. Gabvik, still holding the jammed Sten, pulls his pistol. Klein is stumbling out of the car, drawing his weapon. They exchange shots. Gab K runs. Klein chases, but Gab K escapes on a bicycle. Kubis, wounded, also escapes on his bicycle, blood running down his face. Civilians screaming. Chaos everywhere. And Heydrich, Reinhard Heydrich, staggers out of the destroyed car. His uniform is torn. He's bleeding. Shrapnel has penetrated his back. Fragments of metal, leather, horsehair from the car, seat all driven into his body by the explosion. He collapses on the street. The butcher of Prague is down. Within minutes, German forces flood the area. Roadblocks, searches. The manhunt begins. Heydrich is rushed to Belovka Hospital. Nazi doctors operate, extract shrapnel, stitch wounds. At first, he seems to recover. The injuries don't appear fatal, but the shrapnel has done damage the doctors can't see. Internal injuries, infections. The fragments that penetrated his diaphragm carried material deep into his body. Over the next week, Heydrich deteriorates. Sepsis sets in. His organs begin to fail. Hitler sends his personal physician. Nothing helps. June 4th, 1942. 4:30 a.m. Reinhard Heydrich dies. The man who organized the Holocaust. The butcher of Prague. The blonde beast. Dead from an assassination. The only successful assassination of a top-ranking Nazi official during World War II. Hitler is enraged. He demands vengeance. Not just on the assassins on all of Czechoslovakia. SS Reichsführer Heinrich Himmler takes control. The response will be swift, brutal, absolute. Codename Operation Punishment. 10,000 arrests, over 1,000 executions. Entire families murdered for the faintest connection to the resistance. Prague is paralyzed. The Gestapo goes door to door, checking papers, interrogating, torturing. A bounty is announced. 10 million crowns for information leading to the assassins. Amnesty for anyone who cooperates. Terrified civilians are faced with impossible choices. Protect the resistance or protect your family. The Nazis announce, if the assassins are not found, reprisals will escalate. Villages will be destroyed. Hundreds more will die. And then they make an example. June 9, 1942. The village of Lidice. A small mining village 22 kilometers from Prague. 503 inhabitants, farmers, workers, families. The Gestapo receives a false tip that the assassins were helped by people from Lidice. It's not true, but the Nazis don't care. They need a message. A terror statement so horrifying that all resistance will collapse. June 10th. Nazi forces surround Lidice, cut phone lines, block all roads. All men and boys over 16 to 173 people, separated from the women and children. They're lined up, shot in groups of 10. All 173 murdered. The women, 184 of them are, sent to Ravensbrück concentration camp. Most die there. The children, 82 are, examined for Aryan characteristics. 13 are selected for Germanization, given to Nazi families. The rest are sent to Chelmno extermination camp, caust. Then the Nazis burn Lidice to the ground. Every building, every tree. They dynamite the ruins, level the cemetery, reroute the stream. They erase Lidice from the map, but they're not done. July 2nd, 1942. The village of Lebeki. The same treatment. All adults executed. Buildings burned. The village erased. The message is clear. This is the price of resistance. Back in Prague, the manhunt intensifies. Gabvik, Kubis, and 5 other Czech agents are in hiding, moving between safe houses. Every day, the noose tightens. The resistance is collapsing under torture. Names are extracted. Addresses revealed. June 16, 1942. The Gestapo gets a breakthrough. Karol Kudewan of the parachutists not involved in the assassination cracks. Terrified for his family. Tempted by the bounty. He walks into Gestapo headquarters and talks. He gives them names, safe houses, the location of the radio operator. The Gestapo starts rolling up the network. Arrest after arrest. The assassins are running out of places to hide. Finally, they retreat to their last refuge. The Church of Saints Cyril and Methodius, in Prague, a Baroque Orthodox church. There's a crypt beneath the Flora stone vault, barely large enough for 7 men. Gab, K, Kubis, and 5 other agents hide there. The church's priests agree to protect them, knowing the cost. For days, they hide in the darkness of the crypt. Stone walls, limited food, no escape. They know it's only a matter of time. June 18th, 1942. 4:15 a.m., the Gestapo surrounds the church. 800 SS soldiers, Gestapo agents, Prague police. They cordon off the entire city block. 7 men with pistols are trapped inside. 4 of the agents, including Jan Kubis, are hiding in the church choir loft. 3, including Joseph Gab Kr, in the crypt below. 4:15 a.m., the assault begins. SS troops storm the church. The 4 men in the choir loft open fire. Pistols against rifles, impossible odds. But they're not giving up. For 2 hours for men with pistols hold off waves of SS soldiers. They use every pillar, every corner, every angle. German soldiers fall. The church echoes. With gunfire and screams, the SS throws grenades. Return fire intensifies. The Czech agents are wounded. Running out of ammunition, one by one, they fall. Jan Kubis, the man who threw the grenade that killed Heydrich, is badly wounded. He saves his last bullet, takes his own life rather than be captured. The other 3 do the same. By 6:30 a.m., the choir loft is silent. 4 dead, all suicides to avoid torture. But the battle isn't over. The SS realizes there are more agents below. In the crypt, the crypt is accessed through a tiny opening in the floor, maybe 2 feet wide. Stone walls, only one way in, perfect defensive position. Suicide to assault. The SS tries anyway. Every time a German soldier approaches the entrance, he's met with gunfire from below. Several are shot. The assault stalls. Hours pass. The Germans try tear gas. Doesn't work. The crypt has ventilation. They try flooding it. Fire hoses pump water into the crypt. The water rises, inches, then feet. In the darkness below, Gab, K, and the other two agents, Adolf, Apalka, and Joseph Bublik, are standing in rising water. They're firing at the entrance, holding off attacks, watching the water climb. They know how this ends. The water reaches their waists, their chests. Still, they fight. The Germans call down, offering surrender, promising their lives will be spared. The response is gunfire. The water continues rising. Ammunition is running out. They're drowning and fighting simultaneously. Finally, each man makes the same choice. Rather than drown, rather than surrender, rather than give the Nazis the satisfaction of capture, they use their last bullets on themselves. When the SS finally enters the crypt, they find 3 bodies floating in bloody water. The battle of the Church of Saints Cyril and Methodius is over. All 7 Czech agents dead, but they died free, never captured, never broken. The reprisals don't stop. The priests who sheltered the agents Bishop Garasht and 2 others are executed. The families of the assassins are rounded up, mothers, fathers, siblings, all murdered in reprisal. Hundreds more Czechs are arrested, tortured, killed in the weeks following Heydrich's death. The resistance network is shattered. But here's the thing the Nazis didn't understand. They lost. Operation Anthropoid succeeded. Not just in killing Heydrich, though that alone was a massive blow to Nazi prestige, but in achieving its true objective, making the world remember Czechoslovakia. The assassination made international headlines. The reprisals, especially Lidice, horrified the world. Britain and France, which had abandoned Czechoslovakia at Munich in 1938, were forced to recognize the injustice. In 1942, Britain officially repudiated the Munich Agreement. Czechoslovakia's pre-war borders were recognized by the Allies. The assassination proved that Czechs and Slovaks were still fighting, were not willing collaborators, would not be forgotten. And Heydrich, the man with the iron heart, the architect of the final solution, was dead. His funeral was massive. Hitler attended, Himmler gave the eulogy. The entire Nazi leadership mourned, but he was still dead, killed by 2 men with a jammed gun and a homemade bomb. So what do we make of Operation Anthropoid? Was it worth it? The reprisals killed thousands. Lidice and Lebaki were erased. Families destroyed. The answer is complicated, painful. There's no clean moral calculation. But here's what we know. Joseph Gabke and Jan Kubis volunteered for a suicide mission. They knew the cost. They accepted it. They believed some things are worth dying for, worth killing for: freedom, honor, refusal to submit. Reinhard Heydrich was evil in its purest form. A man who industrialized genocide, who turned mass murder into bureaucratic process. His death didn't stop the Holocaust, it was already in motion. But it proved that even the most protected Nazi could be reached, could bleed, could die. After the war, Gab, K, and Kubis were recognized as national heroes. Streets and schools named after them. Monuments erected. The Church of Saints Cyril and Methodius still stands in Prague. The crypt is preserved as a memorial. You can visit it, see the bullet holes, stand where they made their last stand. Every year on June 18th, Czechs gather there to remember, to honor 7 men who fought 800 and never surrendered. Karel Kudert, the traitor who betrayed them, received his blood money. After the war, he was tried and executed by the Czech government. His name is remembered too, as a warning. Operation Anthropoid was one mission, 7 men, 1 assassination. But it changed the course of history, proved that resistance was possible, that evil could be challenged, even at terrible cost. Gab, K, and Kubis knew they were going to die. They did it anyway. Because some things are more important than survival. This has been the story of Operation Anthropoid, the assassination of Reinhard Heydrich, the last stand at the Church of Saints Cyril and Methodius. 7 men who stood against the Nazi Empire and never surrendered. Remember their names: Joseph Gabke, Jan Kubis, Adolf Opalka, Joseph Bublik, Jan Hrubry, Joseph Valzik, Jaroslav Zork. Heroes of Czechoslovakia.